You're listening to Leadership Powered by Common Sense with your host, Doug Thorpe. Here's Doug.
Well, hello again, everyone. This is Doug, and thanks for hopping in on another episode. Today, my guest is going to help us understand innovation and sustainability, among probably some other things. He's a well-accomplished entrepreneur and business leader. His name is Andy Bhattacharyya.
You did very good.
I got it. You'll see it in text. You'll know I'm struggling with it. But Andy, that said, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah, give us a quick flyover of your journey, in business and what kind of led you to the work you're doing now.
My journey has been being a centrist in the middle. I would say a fight between capitalism and socialism, right? I would say that because when I talk about supply chain, fantastic opportunity, a lot of high capital intensive projects. When I talk sustainability, sometimes I fight between that it's a social cause or we can also make revenue out of sustainability. So it's a balance between capitalism and socialism. So I'm in the middle. So my career, my thoughts, my leadership, my passion, everything is centrist, right? I'm in the middle. I was in Blackstone, the nirvana for anyone who wants to go after MBA. I left Blackstone because it was too high of capitalism, right? So yeah, I mean, everyone needs money. Everyone needs to have food on the table. But how do you make it for purpose is very important for me. That's me, right? From childhood to undergrad to grad to career, I have three things that I think through. One is, am I bringing value so that I don't have a free lunch in the universe? Is the value helping creating the ecosystem that connects the dots? And that ecosystem really brings value as well. It's a circular value model, right? That's how I think. So a typical introduction of mine would be engineer, McKinsey, KPMG's pure consulting work to start with, back to school again for MBA, Wall Street, back in consulting, took a break in 2019, December, started Life 1.0 ended, and Life 2.0 started on with my startup. So as of now, I would say my 2.0 kind of ended last year, right? Because I really realized that being an entrepreneur during COVID and that too on sustainability may not be the great solution, right? So, so that's where I learned my Life 3.0 started. I'm more aggressive right now to sell out the platform. That's where I am and go back to corporate. I definitely need to go back to corporate because I have debts, and though we have customers, we have revenue, we have thing, but I personally have debts. So my self finances have got affected. I know what an empty fridge means. So yeah, I'm in the cusp of that nirvana 2.0 to 3.0. Very excited to be here. I'm an author. Besides my supply chain journey, I'm an author. I run a large I was in maybe mid-sized nonprofit from Nepal India border, where we bring women being trafficked and teach them music therapy and for psychotherapy. And then I also teach at Rutgers University, which is at the back of my yards, and also in Indian School of Business in Hyderabad in India. So live in New York, a bit of myself. And also I do two other things besides writing, teaching, and nonprofit and work. I also am an avid stargazer. I love to stargaze, and a biker. It's a little bit.
Fascinating. Well, good stuff. I want to start out with that kind of that centrist mentality, and I find it interesting how you describe that. And I guess I'm going to, if I may, and again, no disrespect, this is intended to be an inspiring discussion, right? Does sustainability really have to be categorized as socialistic? I'm inclined to say no,
No,
but
it's not. It's
yeah.
not. But sustainability as a topic in the last four years, every time I went to a CEO, yes, we need to do it. This needs to be done. Compliance is a big piece to it, and let's do it. I said, sir, ma'am, compliance is not the only reason. You have to make sure from climate, water, energy, waste, circular economy, all the reasons you should do more sustainable solutions, be it supply chain, be it manufacturing, you have to build resiliency around it. No, resilience is just avoiding disruptions. Great. What are you avoiding disruptions for? Weather is one of them. That's sustainability, climate. So I have done this whole connectivity, self value to ecosystem value, then value of the ecosystem. That's whole model that I've created, right? Convincing CEOs of the world to say sustainability is a money making endeavor.
Hmm.
I've convinced leaders that it affects your balance sheet, income statement, and cash flow.
Yeah.
So why not
I'm
succeed?
thinking of a very tangible example, and I know there are many out there, so no disrespect to any I might leave out of this discussion, but I do some work with one of the large carpet manufacturers,
Hmm. Hmm.
and the leadership there had the wisdom, probably before their time,
Hmm.
to start saying, look, classic carpet installation involves this icky, sticky glue that was an environmental disaster. And it was bad going down because there was waste and there was, material that ended up in the trash dump. It was bad coming up when you demoed a property, and the stuff would not degrade in a landfill anywhere. It was perpetually bad material. And even though they weren't manufacturing the glue was an inevitable part of the installation. And they said, what if we could build a carpet, invent a carpet that could stick down, not move, and not require any glue? So they got involved. And the long story short, I won't get into all the technology. I mean, it's patented and everything, but it was an innovation play. They discovered a way to build fibers on the back of the carpet that had sticking power like what geckos have in the jungle, the way they can hold on to a tree or a slippery leaf. There's little fibers on the bottom of their foot pads that can do that, and this company has figured out a way to affect that. So now they have a glue-free installation process. So they took one whole giant, very nasty environmental element out of the equation, and their success with that has skyrocketed because consumer companies that are buying their product love that idea because they can say we've installed sustainable product in our facility.
Yep, absolutely.
So it's an innovation there that
No,
that it,
absolutely. I mean, for me, it is innovation, sustainable supply chain, sustainable finance. Talk about all the 401ks, right? So when the 401ks are getting invested in the Wall Street, right? So a company, they have employees, the company spending the money to the fiduciary companies, they are taking that money and spending in the street to make sure that it can cover the inflation, right? That whole model, there's a thing called climate finance. Where I'm investing my 401k, I would be knowing. Is it on fossil fuel or non-fossil fuel? Big market, big market, right? So yeah, I feel like you started with the concept of being me being in the middle and covering both the extremes, right? Yeah, maybe it's not. It is that if we do it right, it's a fantastic way of building your brand, not only your bottom line improvement.
right, right.
Yeah.
Well, I think that was my point, and that's where I was kind of going with it. Let me ask you this: on the flip side of all that is the need, and all companies of any size feel it. This drive for innovation. Innovation has almost become a business buzzword bingo slot. That people get into. And a lot of small to mid-sized businesses get tripped up on it because what is really innovation? I mean, if you were founded as a business to do one thing, what does that really mean to you? And what do you have to be thinking about as you go forward?
Yeah. So innovation, look, innovation is the only hope we have to be ahead of the competition, right? So for me, innovation is again threefold. One is the innovation relevant as of now, right? How do you measure innovation, right? Second is the innovation monetizable, implementable? And is innovation really helping us driving more jobs being taken away than giving in the market, right? So, but if you really see, let's take an example of the innovations that are happening with AI right now. It is taking away workers from the floor, but here is a great thing that we also learn as we use AI every day is how we can really focus on upskilling and reskilling. So innovation sometimes has its own challenges, but innovation is great. It's a great thing. Now, if I compare that with, let's say, a sustainable innovation or sustainability innovation, I want to connect that with an example. I was working with a OEM manufacturer, and the problem statement given to me, Doug, was that can you design this machine where you can predict when it goes for manufacturing as well as it goes to the actual usage post manufacturing, how much carbon it will come out? How much carbon it will come out? It's a calculation, simulation you have to do. Then the next question was asked that how can we do this a carbon-free environment, carbon abatement, right? The whole program of carbon abatement. So these things are, I felt that innovation driving greener supply chain, greener manufacturing, greener engineering, greener finance is at its peak right now. Though we are saying that, oh, you don't have to submit the environmental social government report right now. But I can tell you right now that people haven't stopped in innovating sustainable X. X can be supply chain manufacturing, engineering, finance, whatever you call it, right? So
Hmm.
people, you and I talking in this 30 minutes, maybe in some labs, people are cranking up with 15 new innovations which are sustainability enabled, right? So yeah,
Right.
innovation is a part of our life every day.
Well, for the mid cap and smaller businesses, when you start thinking about innovation, my word of caution is always be careful that you're not creating a solution of a problem that doesn't exist.
Yeah,
And sometimes you get your brain trust together in your business.
that's a great point.
You sit down and you go, wow, this would be great. What if we did this and this and this and this and this? But you don't do any market testing. You've never had a single customer come to you and say, I wish you just did one extra thing. I wish you did just one more thing here. Or what
Yeah,
if you expanded this direction? You haven't had any customers do that yet. You've convinced yourself it's a great idea.
yeah,
And I say all that from firsthand experience. I had my own experience trying to build a company over an idea that it turned out the market just didn't really
needed.
care about.
Yeah, yeah, that's
And
always
and
happening. Are you finding the nail or the hammer?
yeah, that's right. That's right. And ironically, there were several groups that had my similar idea, and we created our own little competition among us. At the high point, there were 5 companies doing what I was doing, and none of us were capturing any meaningful market share. All of us were burning a lot of cash, making things happen. And when the crash of '08 happened, that was our mutual death sentence, and all of our companies had to be shut down because of the crash. And in a post-mortem, we all got together and kind of in a friendly banter and said, I think we solved a problem that didn't exist.
That's a fantastic point, Doug. I could see that you're in the bed. So it's like bed of innovation, right? Yeah, that's the point as entrepreneurs, as workers every day to make uh, the planet a better place to live. We face this every day, right? If this innovation is at all monetizable.
Right. And that is your point. Is it truly monetizable? It might check all the boxes for environmentally green and
Yeah,
save the planet and all of that, but is it monetizable? And
absolutely.
often the answer comes back that no, it's not. So you're left to go back to the drawing board. Well, talk to me about what kind of work you are doing with client companies now. Give us some more examples of some of the challenges you're
Absolutely. So,
dealing
one area that we have gone deep is on supply chain resiliency, manufacturing resiliency, enabled with sustainability. We have gone deep into building AI-led data models, building various kinds of persona-led dashboards, and making control towers and business enablements technologies. Um, we are also working on, I would say, a lot of digital transformation programs, be it mid market, small market, large market. Digital transformation, which may or may not be supply chain manufacturing engineering, it's more broader than that, right? So M&A is another area, merger and acquisitions and divestitures we are working on, right? So if you really see these areas are really hot right now, where the whole industry is going through a big shift right now. Big shift. It's the need of the hour is digital transformation, workspace optimization. Less is more on the floor, right? How do you bring those automation with robots, right? So from supply chain, manufacturing, digital programs, that's where you're spending most of the time. I would say data is a key element to it. AI is an element to it. We are also learning about a lot about Gen AI and agentic AI right now. All these are coming together, and our goal, my goal as a leader, is to make sure we do a profitable business, we do a purpose-led business, and at the end, we should not give away the empathy. As AI comes more and more, treat AI as another human friend and make him or her learn empathy. I spend a lot of these things, a lot of time in these things nowadays, that, yep, supply chain manufacturing, digital transformation, data, wherever I spend time, right? Strategy, consulting, implementation, technology products, platform enablement. Um, One thing that I always advise and always think and practice myself is, how do you add empathy quotient to the AI models? If we do that by 2030, they do not have to replace us. They will be augmenting us and they will be our best friends.
at.
But if you do not teach empathy, AI will just be a big disruptor.
Yeah. I like that thought, and I have seen that emerge in a couple of other places. But I want to land on a point you made in the middle of that: a purpose-driven business. I personally love that theme. I'm a champion of that. Any of my clients will tell you we always talk at some point about purpose, both personal and business. So, give us your take on what does that really mean to a business owner? What should they be thinking about?
Think, absolutely, think long term. You want to cut down the trees, or you want to make sure that when you're making vegetable oils, or you want to make sure that you have another way of doing business, right? Oh, sorry, palm oils, and then you move into vegetable oil, right? So how do you think? I'm just giving an example that, how do you think about long term in purpose, right? You cut down all the palm trees, ship the oil from far east to west or across the globe. I don't think that's very much purpose led, right? But you have to, because palm oil is needed in everything that you manufacture in the world. So can we replace palm oil with vegetable oil? Can we replace oh, the oil that the French fries we have in McDonald's? We take that oil and make biofuels and degradable biofuel oils, right? And use those for manufacturing, right? This is purpose led. You're not saying that I'm going to give away soaps from my company free. No. How do I make sure that I change the way I'm sourcing materials, the way I treat my people, the way I appreciate reskilling, the way I want to embrace AI? Every element has dug a purpose. And if your purpose is clean about the make a planet to a better place, early failure is okay. long-term success is guaranteed.
Hmm.
So that's how I think about purpose-led. It's a part of your leadership, right?
Right.
So yeah.
Well, and I do believe, and I've talked about this here before. I've had other guests join me in this discussion, and that is that there is a driver that you might call bottom up. The if you're an older individual who is trying to run a business or a team, you've discovered that the young people you might be attracting to join your team, they are asking about purpose. They're bringing a purpose led mindset to the
Mhm.
game. They're challenging the question, what is the purpose of this? You know, with this company, this
Mhm.
work effort,
Yep.
what's the bigger purpose and how are we fulfilling some bigger
Yep.
value, bigger good?
Yep.
And so my point there is, as a leader in today's market, if you've never been willing to think about that, the workforce is going to ask you to think about it and almost demand you to think about it.
Yeah.
And
100%.
if you're unwilling to think about it, guess what? You're not going to be an employer of choice for very long.
100%. Because consumers are very smart and it's B2B or B2C doesn't matter. Consumers are smart, right? They know what to buy and how to use that as their own branding, right? Yeah, that's great point you made. Yeah.
Yeah. So I do think that's a very important element in the landscape of leadership that I think has already shifted and is continuing to shift. And you know, let's face it, there are folks of certain ages that just are kind of unwilling to go there. They're saying, you know what, I think I'm just out. I'm going to call it a day, and
Yeah.
I'm going to move on. And that's okay. That is the evolution, the ebb and flow of capitalism for sure. Businesses rise and fall, you know, based on many things, and the expectations that the modern workforce has on the companies they're willing to go to work for is changing. So I love your take on the AI, creating AI that's more empathetic. That too, I think, will add to the appeal of companies who say they need AI, they want AI, but they're not doing AI to be opposed to human employees.
Mhm. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. So it's all about how do you shape up the organization from a skills perspective. And where you need automation, it has to be very clean and very value added, right? You just do not want to bring automation just to do automation. That's what my book about Industry 5.0 and data economy, the book I've written, right? You would not bring automation unless it's needed. For example, I walk on the floor in an automotive manufacturing company. There is no human being on the floor, and the VP of operations calls me and says, "Andy, look, you need to optimize the floor." I said, "Whom I should optimize for?" Then I said, "You figure it out, but we need to optimize and bring the cost down." Then what we did, we took the robots, and if they, based on the capacity, we took some robots out of the floor, and that was a huge innovation that the automotive OEM had, not to use those robots anymore. Because how do you take these robots and make sure there's optimal automation is needed? That's called Industry 5.0, where you do not need an automation, don't do it. You do not need to lit up the skyline to be first in the beautification of your skyline, city skyline. You don't do it. You are burning energy unless you find out a way to use solar energy, right? So yeah, that's where automation is has to be selective. AI usage has to be selective, right?
Yeah,
Because we are not going away anywhere for now, at least for the next 100,
right,
200, maybe
right.
500 years, right?
I'm thinking as we're talking about this, I wrote an article a few months ago talking about AI and a lot of the work that's going on there. And I'm doing a lot of work in AI myself because,
Oh,
number one, I'm curious among all things, but I also want to be aware and available to my clients when we talk about it. But what I came to the conclusion of AI, in my humble opinion, leaders need to look at AI as part of your talent stack, not your technology stack.
yeah. Yep.
And
Absolutely.
I think
I
there's
love
a
the way
big
you said
difference
it.
there. I think there's a big
Talent
difference.
stack versus technology stack.
It is a technology play, but it needs to be looked at as part of your talent stack.
Yeah.
Not the same way that we used to look at, buying a new piece of computer equipment.
Hmm.
It's a different value proposition
Yeah.
in my mind. Anyway, that's the position I've taken on it.
Absolutely agree on it.
So powerful thing. Well, Andy, I know we're kind of about up on time here. I really appreciate you coming in. Tell people the best way to get a hold of you if they're interested in knowing more about your work.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I have a website called leadwithandy.com. You will find everything. You find me in LinkedIn, my email address. You can submit your innovation ideas out there. I'm always running a hackathon in colleges, schools. So yeah, leadwithandy.com is the best way to find me.
Wonderful. Well, thanks again, Andy, for sitting in. And I know we had a little bit of scheduling challenge here, but I
I'm
appreciate your
good.
flexibility so we could do this. And thank you so much. As always, folks, we're going to have Andy's contact information in the show notes. So be sure you check it out
Yeah.
and get a hold of him if you've got some ideas or themes you'd like to pursue talking with him. And I do like to remind you, we've got a video version of this over on YouTube, channel by the same name. Leadership Powered by Common Sense. Go over there, check out the archives, and give me any comments you've got for topics or ideas we haven't talked about yet that you'd like to hear from. But with that, we're going to wrap it up. Say goodbye. Go out there, make it a great day.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Leadership Powered by Common Sense, hosted by Doug Thorpe. If you would like to know more about the coaching and advisory services he provides, visit dougthorpe.com.